everyone, my name is Bao, and today I'll tell you about one of the greatest speeches ever about Steve Jobs. Yeah, the CEO, co-founder and CEO of Apple.
I want to tell you three stories from my life. That's it.
That's
no
it.
Big
No
deal.
big deal.
Just three
There are
stories.
three stories.
The first
The first story is about connecting the dots.
I dropped out
of Reed College after the first 6 months, but I stayed dropping for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why did I drop out? It started before I was born. But my biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student. She decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by a college graduate, so everything was said. For me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. Except when I first popped out, they decided at the last minute that they really wanted a girl. So my parents, who are on the waiting list, got a call in the middle of the night asking, "We got an unexpected baby boy. Do you want him?" They said, "Of course." My biological mother found out that my mother never graduated from college and that my father never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. That was the start of my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college, but naively chose a college that was almost as expensive as Stanford. And all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. And I have no idea what I wanted to do in life. I had no idea how college was going to help me figure out. Here I was, spending all the money my parents had saved their entire life. So I decided to drop out and trust that it will all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, this was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that interested me and began dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I did have a dorm room, and so I slept on the floor in my friend's room. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposit for food, and would walk 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get a good meal at the Hare Krishna Temple. I loved it. And much of what I could stand into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at the time offered perhaps the most advanced calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, label, or every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphy. Because I dropped out, I didn't have to take the normal classes. I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about sans-serif typefaces, about the varying amount of space between different line combinations, and what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in the way that science can capture. I found it fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we designed the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I never dropped out on a single course in college, the Mac would never have multiple typefaces or portionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them. I had never dropped out. I never dropped out on this calligraphy class, and personal computers might not have the wonderful typography that they do. Of course, it is impossible to connect the dots looking forward when I was in college, but it was very, very clear looking backwards 10 years later. Again, you can connect the dots by looking forward. You can only connect them by looking backwards. But you have to trust the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever.
Because
Because believing the dots will connect down the road will give you confidence to follow your heart. And even when it leads you to a well-worn path, that will make all the difference.
My second
story is about love and loss.
I was lucky.
I found. Hold up. Was and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple has grown just the two of us in the garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our prime creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I had just turned 30. And then I got fired.
How can you get
fired from a company you started? That was strange.
OpenAI, and this is going to change the game for businesses and content creators.
Well, as Apple grew, we hired somebody who I thought was very talented to run the company with me. And for the first year or so, things went well. But then our visions of the future began to diverge, and we have a failing now. One day, our board of directors sided with him. So at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire life was gone. It was devastating. I really don't know what to do for a few months. I felt I left the previous generation entrepreneurs down, and that I dropped the baton that was being passed to me. I met David Packard and Bob Noyce, and tried to apologize for screwing up so badly. I was a public failure, and even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly had begun to dawn me. I still love what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I had been rejected, but I was still in love. So I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out getting fired by Apple was the best thing that could happen to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again. Less sure of everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company called Next, another company called Pixar, and fell in love with a beautiful woman who would become my wife. Pixar wanted to create the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story. And it was now become the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next. I turned to Apple. And the technology we developed at Next is in the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Lauren and I had a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I had been fired from Apple. It was an awful tasting medicine. I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life is going to hit you in the head with a brick. But don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You have to find what you love, and that's true for work as in for you lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to believe in great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. With all my arsenal heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years go on. So keep looking and don't settle. My third story is that when I was 17, I read a quote that was something like, if you lead each day as in your last, someday you'll most certainly be right. It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today was the last day of my life, what would I do what I'm about to do today? And whenever the question had been no for too many days in a row, I know to change something. Remembering that I'll be destined is the most important tool that I would ever encounter to help me make big choices in life, because almost everything, all external expectations or pride, or fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death. Leaving only what's truly important. Remembering that you're going to die is the best way I know to avoid a trap of thinking you have something to lose. You're already naked. There's no reason not to follow your heart. No one wants to die.
Even
Even people want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there.
And yet,
Death is the destination we all share.
no one has
No one has
ever
ever escaped it.
And that is
And that's
as
as it should be.
because death